Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Chris Davis, the Creature Preacher, and today I wanted to give you guys a snapshot into an issue that I'm having in my Savannah monitor tank. So we've got gnats and a bunch of them. So I am, and my wife is not happy. So I am in the process of trying to figure out a solution, permanent solution for that. As some of you may know, it's not just the gnats, but because I am doing the bioactive substrate in here, dirt mixed with sand mostly, just so topsoil mixed with sand mostly, and then of course there's some, cleanup crew in there, but the gnats are actually laying eggs in this substrate, and so that's why the infestation is so bad. So not only do I have to kill out all the gnats that are in there, but find a way to keep the population low so that they're not able to really breed in this substrate. So I've got a couple ideas as far as what I think will work. This is a custom built tank that I will actually do a video on later to show how I built this tank. But there's a couple things that I think are the key to getting this issue taken care of. It's high. I wanted it to really hold humidity, and it does that well. But again, that's another issue as far as why there's gnats. I've never had any issues. I've been keeping reptiles for about 10 years, and I've never had issues with gnats in a terrarium like this. So this is a first for me, but I think I can figure it out. I've got ventilation in there, a decent amount, as far as to make sure that it's not crazy hot or humid in there, and the humidity stays around, there's a gauge in there, around 60, 70, and which is ideal, and temps in the hot spot above 100, all that good stuff. And then I've got the cool side for the Savannah monitor, and just the baby right now. So you may be looking at this tank saying it's not big enough, but it is big enough for him at this point. So yeah, I'm gonna show you just a couple things as far as trial and error. So this is part one, and then part two will hopefully be a video letting you know that it's all taken care of. So alright, so first of all, I think this here is one of my issues. So I've got this lid here where that opens up for me to access. This whole thing comes up. I got a tank set up here for a bearded dragon, but this whole tank, this lid comes off, and this, for whatever reason, has warped. So this wood was flat when I first put it here and there, and but it just won't. So I think that gap is an access point for the gnats, because every other access to the terrarium, all the other vents have screens on them, and so they can probably still get through the screens, but not as quickly, not as effectively. So I think this gap, so that's one thing I'm going to do. I'm gonna close this gap. I've got a piece of plexiglass that I'm going to replace this board with, and so I'm going to do that first, and then we'll show you some other solutions here. Alright, so here, next step, gnat traps. So that apple cider vinegar. Here I've got dish soap, and I've got these mason jars. I'm gonna take this little tiny screwdriver with my hammer here, poke some holes. My thought here is that the holes on the top will be really easy for the gnats to get into, but then on the flip side, the jagged edges may make it a little more challenging for them to get out. So I'm going to set one of these right outside the terrarium, the other one right here in the kitchen, and we'll see what we can get. I'm actually going to place one of these mason jars in the terrarium. Alright, so the last piece to the puzzle I have here is a good old Venus flytrap. So I'm going to plant this in the terrarium and let this good old flytrap have at it. And as you can see there are a bunch of little traps on this small plant here. So I'm gonna just stick it in there for right now. Eventually, when I get the substrate, I've let it dry out a little bit, so it's not very moist. That's why you see I've got some pothos in there, which is pretty hardy, but you know, because I have not been keeping the tank as moist because of the gnats, the plants are not doing as great. So I'm gonna keep this in this little potted plant until I get that back up and running, and again get rid of this infestation that I have of the gnats. So we'll put this in there, and this is again part 1, and keep an eye out for part 2, which hopefully has this tank all back up and running, gnat free. Thanks for checking out the video. Click the like button, subscribe, and keep an eye out for the next one. Thanks.